As someone studying to become a member of clergy, I believe in the value of upholding legacy and tradition. That is why I heroically upheld the long-standing Jewish tradition of eating Chinese food and seeing a movie this past Christmas. I saw the new film Wonka, starring Timothée Chalamet, a colorful and joyful origin story of how a poor chocolate maker with a talent for magic became the famous chocolatier. This film is sprinkled with colorful costumes, uplifting musical numbers, and even a trio of tap-dancing villains. The decadent sugar coating of this film paints over some of the original darkness of Roald Dahl's novel. The new film Wonka is actually not the first time that the tone of the chocolate maker's tale is altered. Roald Dahl was reportedly not a fan of the beloved original film adaptation starring Gene Wilder, calling it sappy and overly sentimental. Both of these films take a classic story and portray a more optimistic rendering than the original. This is a pattern we see quite often in our scripture. In Parashat Vayechi, we are witness to the death of our patriarch, Yaakov, Jacob. Jacob is remembered as a great figure in our tradition, fathering the 12 tribes. Yet at times we overlook the darkness of his past and the transformation he had to undertake to become a father of our people. Earlier in the book of Genesis, Jacob takes advantage of and deceives those around him by tricking his brother Esau out of his birthright and manipulating his uncle Laban. It is not until Jacob wrestles with a mysterious presence that he is able to confront and come to terms with the wrong he has done and is blessed with a new name, Yisrael, Israel. Parashat Vayechi begins with the words, Vayechi Yaakov, and Jacob lived. Yaakov lived 17 years in the land of Egypt, so that the span of his life reached 147. The very next verse continues with, Vayikrevu Yemei Yisrael Lamut, when it came time for Yisrael to die. When it came time for Yisrael to die, he summoned his son, Joseph. Why would the authors of Genesis choose to remember Yaakov in life, but Yisrael in death? Does this choice paint over the wrong that Jacob has done? Likewise, in this week's Haftarah, we read of the death of another great patriarch, King David, a renowned, beloved, and incredibly complicated figure who is believed to have written many of our Psalms and of whom there is a city named in Jerusalem. Yet on his deathbed, he tells his son Solomon to settle his grudges, occasionally even with violence. The same David sent a man to die in war in order to covet his wife. Still, we remember David as the great musical warrior poet. Again, are we painting over the deeds of another one of our tradition's heroes? Is this our legacy? Or is our legacy choosing to remember the best in others? In Jewish ethics, there is a principle known as Dan Lekaf Zahut, which translates as judging favorably. This is the practice of assuming positive intentions and giving the benefit of the doubt. We also find in our tradition Gimilut Chasadim, acts of loving kindness, treating someone with compassion, generosity, and kindness. Remembering the best in the legacy of another is certainly an example of Gimilut Chasadim. Finally, our tradition emphasizes the prohibition of Lashon Hara, or Lashon Hara, as you may have heard it, evil speech or gossip. I'm sure we are all guilty of a little bit of gossip here and there. I certainly am. However, the prohibition of Lashon Hara encourages us to speak positively of others, and when possible, highlight their positive qualities and virtues. In keeping with the aspects of our tradition, we are able to remember figures like Jacob and David in a more positive light. Yet, we also know that there is a real danger to completely overlooking all the wrongs that others have committed. And these Jewish values do not suggest that this is what we should do. Dan Lakaf Zachut, judging favorably, does not purge someone of their guilt, but rather assumes innocence until proven guilty. Lashon Hara says we should not talk ill of others or gossip. However, Jewish tradition states that if it is beneficial to discuss an interaction or occurrence out loud, then we are permitted to do so. Our tradition teaches to assume the best in others, but not to rashly forgive wrongdoings. In fact, the Shulchan Aruch, a widely consulted code of Jewish law, states that it is forbidden to excessively flatter in a eulogy. We are instructed to highlight good qualities, and if none exist, we do not attribute any to the deceased. We end this parsha and the book of Genesis with the death of Joseph. Joseph is known in our Torah as a leader who practices self-control, compassion, trust, and forgiveness. He serves as an excellent role model for transitioning between different chapters of life, whether that be a literal chapter, such as moving from Genesis to Exodus, or a marking of time, such as the approaching secular New Year. Forgiveness and the assumption of the best intentions of others is a great way to begin anew. Dr. John D. Kelly IV wrote an article for the National Library of Medicine entitled Forgiveness, a Key Resiliency Builder, which reports that offering forgiveness is actually known to lower adrenaline and cortisol levels. This is a very similar bodily response to that of eating a bar of dark chocolate. Shabbat Shalom and Happy New Year. Come with me, and you'll be in a world of pure imagination. Take a look, and you'll see into your imagination. We'll begin with a spin, traveling in the world of my creation. What we'll see will defy explanation. If you want to view paradise, simply look around and view it. Anything you want to do it. Want to change the world? There's nothing to it. There is no life I know to compare with pure imagination. Living there, you'll be free if you truly